Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Megan Fox, and today we're doing a TLDR, too long didn't read, on Jeremy Hales's multiple litigations that are happening around him, from him, and either litigation he's filed or litigation that has been filed against him in this saga that has gotten so big, this drama, this legal drama that has gotten so big that it's hard to keep up on. I have made a handy dandy little flowchart here. I believe I've captured all the lawsuits, but if I have missed one, I'll put it in the comments or something. But because there's a lot. So Jeremy Hales is a YouTuber. I've been covering his. He's got a very big channel, 700,000 viewers. He buys storage units and resells those items. He has all of this began when he got into a conflict with his neighbors who moved in across the street from him. When they found out he was moving to Otter Creek, Florida for the winter. And there's a whole long story about that, and it's in the TLDR. If you want to see that, what is that story about, watch my other TLDR. Let's go to the very beginning, the very first lawsuit that we know of that involves this situation. Oh my God, look at how big this is. Okay. So watch the TLDR about the neighbors, and then this is where it starts. So he issues a cease and desist against his neighbors for stalking and harassment. He says they didn't stop. That would be Lynette Preston and John Cook. In September of 2023, Jeremy Hales and his girlfriend George went to an Ohio court, and they asked for a permanent injunction against those two, John Cook and Lynette Preston, for stalking. They were given that order. They got the permanent injunction in October. And since then, John Cook and Lynette Preston have had 2 orders of contempt against them, where they now owe him around $1,500 for attorney's fees for violating that restraining order, or order of protection is what I think they call it, in Ohio. The reason he got it in Ohio is because that's where he lives. That is his residency. And Lynette had reached into Ohio, contacting the mayor of his town to say that bad things about Jeremy Hales. We don't need to get into that right now. We have too much to get into. We have too much to cover. But that's how it ended up in Ohio. In October of 2023, Lynette Preston files against Jeremy Hales for stalking in Levy County. She wants an order of protection. This was the case that was presided over by the judge we call Judge Grudge, Judge Craig DeThomasis. Now, Judge Craig DeThomasis was a terrible judge. He was extremely biased. He was very snippy. He was very much against Jeremy Hales for whatever reason. He never would listen to him. He wouldn't let him put on his evidence. Jeremy had to go through 2 lawyers before, his first lawyer, the judge was so biased against. He eventually got removed by a writ of extraordinary prohibition, and which is very rare. The appellate court removed Judge DeThomasis for being biased and unlawful acts. As soon as he was removed from the case, after 11 months of taking away Jeremy's rights without an evidentiary hearing, so he couldn't drive on his own street, couldn't go down his own driveway, couldn't stand in certain portions of his property, could not own guns to protect himself. This was finally dropped right when the evidentiary hearing was supposed to take place. Judge Grudge was removed. Judge Davis was put in to take over the case. And on the day of the evidentiary hearing, Lynette Preston, with her attorney, Josh Silberman, dropped it, dismissed it without prejudice, in exchange for Jeremy not going after them for sanctions. She was not thankful for that in any way, because you'll see what happens later. In March of the same year, while this was still going on, the injunction, Hales filed a federal lawsuit in federal court in Florida against John Cook and Lynette Preston for defamation and tortious interference. He's alleging that they put up defamatory signs around Otter Creek that were found by people he knows, calling him a child predator, saying that he SA'd her daughter. She denies that she's written the signs. Handwriting experts disagree. That's what the whole fight is about. This Bruce Matskin, that's when he joined the picture, and he volunteered to take these 2 on as clients. And he didn't last very long. I don't know. It was maybe 6 months in, he had to drop out. because of his behavior. He was getting called to the carpet for sanctions, and he never showed up, and then he bailed on the case. He's not the lawyer anymore. They are now pro se. We call it federal case 1, Fed 1, is still going on. It's ongoing, but Lynette Preston has filed for bankruptcy, which has put a necessary hold on the case in federal court. So nothing is happening in that case until her bankruptcy gets straightened out, and then it will continue. All right. Then in August, Lynette Preston files a crazy lawsuit against Jeremy Hales and Larry Foreman, a DUI guy, DJ Radis, who is a satirical YouTuber. He makes comedic videos and songs. And also, I think that this one also included George in it as well. So this lawsuit we call the thumbnail lawsuit. This lawsuit was specifically about Jeremy Hales and all the other people in the suit using pictures of Lynette in their thumbnails for YouTube. The lawsuit completely ignored the part of the law about copyright that says there are exceptions for news programs, podcasts, broadcasts, YouTubes, all of that. Like if you are reporting on a story of public interest, you can use pictures like this in thumbnails. That is not what do they call it's not for commercial purposes. Commercial purposes would be like putting someone's face on a t-shirt and selling it. You can't do that. But you can put someone's face, especially someone who's in a public court case, on a thumbnail when you're talking about that case. And the photos that Jeremy used were all from deposition or court, which would be public, and she doesn't own the copyright to those in the first place. All right. So this case was dismissed voluntarily again by Lynette. She dismissed it. And then it's still live, though, because Jeremy Hales and Larry Foreman filed for sanctions for frivolous litigation. And it is still alive, waiting sanctions against the attorney that Bruce hired, Scott Stark, and Lynette Preston. Now, there are reports in today, just breaking news, that Scott Stark may have died. And if that's the case, it still doesn't stop the sanctions because it will probably go against his estate, but also Lynette Preston who brought the suit. So if it was litigious, it's still going to be heard by Judge Davis. So that is still live and happening in court. In September, Lynette Preston files another lawsuit against against Travis, who works for Jeremy or with him, Madam Mayor, and a bunch of other people for allegedly trespassing on her property when they went to retrieve Lloyd Campbell's camper. Lloyd Campbell was somebody who was staying on Lynette's property. He had a camper. He was in the hospital because he had a hip replacement, and he asked Jeremy to help him get his stuff off of Lynette's property because she was threatening to take his camper, and there was just a whole drama going on. So Lloyd, who was by definition a tenant on Lynette's property, asked Travis and these people to go and and gave them permission to be there to go and get his camper and his things off of her property. Lynette claims they were trespassing even though they went with the sheriff, and it's all been taped. There's video of it. You can watch it on Jeremy's channel. He has video of all of that. Travis, I think, put up his video of it, where they just go to the property. They're escorted on by the sheriff. They're filming for their own protection so that they're not accused of anything falsely. And they remove the things that are Lloyd's. Lloyd has to come to the property to give his permission, but as a tenant, he has the rights to have anybody on that property he wants. So that lawsuit was going nowhere either. She voluntarily dismissed that one as well. But it's still alive, sort of, because there's a new lawsuit that was filed in March of 2025 by the Grangers, who were sued in this, against Lynette Preston for malicious prosecution. So that's now two suits against her that she's facing sanctions for malicious prosecution. Okay, so now, what next? In February of 2025, Jeremy Hales filed what we call the Fed 2 case. It is Hales versus John Cook, Lynette Preston, Bruce Matzkin, their attorney, Lisa Lee, or who we call Felisa, who runs a podcast that's all anti-Jeremy Hales, Ray Bonebreak Bone Crusher, who also has a YouTube channel that was involved in this, this group of people who were they wrote it down, by the way, trying to destroy Jeremy Hales and his YouTube empire. That's what Bruce Matzkin said in a group chat to these people. I want to destroy him and his YouTube empire. Robbie Kesey, who has that Gator Boy channel, and Marla Hughes. All these people are now in a lawsuit in Fed 2. Oh, actually, there's more. I forgot. There's more litigants. Richard Luthman has also been sued, so we have to add him in here because Richard Luthman was added. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I missed somebody, we'll fix it in the comments. So Luthman was a so-called journalist, ex-felon, who served 4 years or was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison in New York for fraud, extortion, kidnapping, all sorts of terrible things. Also, there was some case against him about election interference and pretending to be an elected official, fake Facebook pages. He's a real unsavory character. He was brought in by Bruce Matzkin to basically harass Jeremy Hales, I believe. I think he was brought in to harass him through articles. This guy has written that he's an anti-Semite. He's said all kinds of terrible things in print about Jeremy Hales, and it looks like he's become part of this, what Bruce Matzkin calls the anti-What the Hales media ecosystem, to take down Jeremy Hales and destroy his YouTube empire, which is what Bruce said in his own words. So they are being sued by Jeremy Hales for tortious interference and business defamation, conspiracy and business defamation. So that is very complicated. That is still going on. It is paused for Lynette Preston because of her bankruptcy thing right now, but it is still going forward for everyone else. And I did hear today that Richard Luthman may have been served today. We will get that news perhaps later tonight when I go live. For reference, it is August 4th today that I am recording this. And so if you're wondering, I will be doing a show later this evening at 8 p.m. where we'll go over all the latest information on what's been happening there. Then we get all the way to May of 2025. Frederigo's v. Hales, Fox, Shizzy, J-Hip, and Tug. Legally Leslie, probably one of my favorite characters in this thing. And if you guys want to know who these people are, you can go back and watch the last TLDR that I did on the What the Hales, the anti-What the Hales media ecosystem. I talk about all the characters and who they are. In this one, we call her Legally Lips. She has giant inflated lips. She also was recruited by Richard Luthman and another, his partner, Michael Volpe, that we call Darth Touch or Vomit. The stories just get so weird. And the history of all of this is just so bizarre. I can't believe how widespread this is now. It's like an octopus, with all these horrible arms. It's like the world's worst clown car. They just keep getting out of the clown car. And so they Richard Luthman and this other guy, Volmet, they got together and they recruited Legally Leslie, a former attorney who had to give up her license in Florida rather than face the discipline that was coming for her because of her horrifically checkered past and the things she did to her clients as a lawyer, which you cannot do. She was only a liar. I said a liar. She also does that. But she was only a lawyer for 5 years in Florida before she was already disciplined once, and then she had to give up her license or be disciplined again, which was probably going to be her permanent disbarment. So instead, she's permanently retired. She can never practice law in Florida again, yet she puts herself out on the internet like someone who's knowledgeable about the law, right? Legally Leslie. She claims that she does guardianship cases and she's gotten 13 people out of guardianship. Some of the cases I've gone over so far that she has done, you can see on my channel under the What the Hales playlist. And you can see that some of them are questionable. And the more we dig into her background, the more we find unhappy clients, her not showing up at hearings, all kinds of bad stuff. But anyway, she gets into this mess and she starts telling the anti-What the Hales media ecosystem story. which is all anti-Jeremy Hales. But she goes really far. She puts his divorce records out on her website. She buys the website, jeremyhales.com. She buys meganfoxauthor.com. She buys shizzywiznut.com. And she redirects all of those to her website, where there's all this defamatory stuff, crazy AI videos depicting Jeremy Hales as as a certain German dictator or a mass murderer like Charles Manson, and very weird, bizarre stuff. She went very hard after Jeremy Hales. And before this time, Tug and I did not speak about her until she filed this lawsuit. We knew she was out there doing these things, but she had such a small channel. It was like, why? So when she filed the lawsuit in May, then we started talking about her. We started looking into her background, speaking about what she was doing and who she was. And she decided to sue. She sued Jeremy Hales first. Then we start talking about her. We make some jokes that she looks like a Muppet. And then she sues us. Then she voluntarily dismisses it. I don't know, a few weeks later. I don't know the dates of all these things anymore. It's too much. I should go back and look at the docket to get all the dates, because it was only a matter of a couple weeks. She files, she drops. Then she files it again. Maybe the next month, it might have been in June. So the first one was May. Then the second one, she adds this back in. She files it again. And then voluntarily dismisses it again. Of course, in Florida, we now have there's a two dismissal rule in Florida, which means we got a judgment in our favor when the plaintiff dismisses against you twice. So now that catches you up to date on the last lawsuit involved, and that is the one that we just filed in July against Federigos for malicious prosecution. We have filed against Legally Leslie and her husband, Michael Federigos. And there we have it. That's where it stands as of right now. That is an overview of all the lawsuits and the timeline approximately of when they happen. Now, if I missed one, please do let me know, because I'm sure that there might be one that I missed because there are so many. But if you guys have been wondering, I know a lot of you are like, why are you still on this case? Why are you still covering this case? Now do you see? Do you see? It is like covering it's like, how many lawsuits is this? Let me count. Hold on. Let's get an accurate count of how many. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is like 8 stories in one case. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. Never. I've never seen a case like this. This is the most complex, outrageous case I've ever come across. Plus, it's connected to a YouTuber. It's connected to YouTube. So, yeah, I think it's extremely important. And the way that this is going to resolve is going to be precedent setting for YouTubers, for streamers, for lawtubers. It's a very interesting and important case. And if you're having trouble keeping up and keeping track of all the lawsuits, I hope that this video was helpful for you. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again real soon. Take care.